Hey guys, Fred's Tech Up here. So in this video I'll be comparing the cameras on two of the best mid-range smartphones that money can buy today. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy A52. As it currently stands, I personally consider these two to be the best mid-range smartphone that is very affordable yet offers a lot. The Redmi Note 10 Pro packs a whopping 108 megapixels camera, an 8 megapixels ultra-wide camera, a 5 megapixels macro lens and a 2 megapixels depth sensor. The selfie camera on the Redmi Note 10 Pro is a 16 megapixels camera. On the A52 we've got a large 64 megapixels main sensor, a 12 megapixels ultra wide camera, a 5 megapixels macro lens and a 5 megapixels depth sensor. And on the selfie side we've got a 32 megapixels camera. Both smartphones offers impressive specs on paper, especially the Redmi Note 10 Pro. But how does these two stack up against each other? If you're looking for the best of the best among these two, which should you buy? Okay, let's find out. As usual, I'll let you guys go through the images first and satisfy your curiosity. Then I'll tell you what I think about each image one after the other. Alright, so switching to the rear camera, both can shoot in 4K resolution 30 frames per second, and there's no video stabilization when you're shooting in 4K on both devices. I think both looks okay. However, dynamic range seems to be a little bit better on the Redmi phone. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to switch to 1080p mode on both phones where they actually have video stabilization on. Let's see which looks better. Alright guys, so this is a 1080p footage from both phones and they have video stabilization turned on both. So let's go ahead and run a little bit. Let's see which is better. Okay guys, so now that you're done, let me tell you what I think about both. On the first image here, the A52 image is much brighter. It exposes dark areas better, while the Redmi Note 10 Pro image appears a little darker. It is not too exposed as a Samsung image, but it is closer to real life than that of the A52. Moving on to the next one here, both are well exposed, but the Samsung is slightly better, even though dynamic range is ever so slightly better on the Redmi Note 10 Pro image. Moving on, this image has a small truck, the foreground, the building and the water tank stand. The Samsung continues to expose its images very well, while Xiaomi is still on the darker side. If you look closely under the truck, at least you can see some details on the A52 image, while the Redmi image is underexposed. The colors that both phones represent on the truck doesn't look like what it is on real life, although the Redmi image is closer to what I might call real life image. Another thing to note is that despite their very high megapixels count, they all shoot a 16 megapixels image by default. On a zoom in image like this one here, details are almost the same. On this other image here, both images are impressive, even though I am leaning towards the Redmi image because of how it handles dynamic range. Colors on the wall is slightly too saturated on the A52 image, but both are really impressive. Moving on, this has to do with skin tone, the background and details. I'm really impressed with both images. The A52 image is really consistent when it comes to how it handles exposure, while the Redmi is consistent on how it handles skin tone. Image from the A52 is bright with good colors. The Redmi on the other hand isn't that bright, but skin colors and details is really impressive. Same thing is applicable here, both are really good and dynamic range is very impressive on both. However, dynamic range is a bit better on the Redmi than the Samsung Galaxy A52 image. Samsung tends to add too much blue to the sky while Xiaomi keeps it natural as it appears. When it comes to skin tone, both are really impressive, but the Redmi image has more details. Moving on to this other image here, both are doing pretty well, but I'll lean towards the Redmi image. The Redmi image is closer to real life while Samsung added saturation to make it really pop. This type of image can be subjective. Some people might prefer the natural look of the Redmi, while some will like the saturated colors of the Samsung image. Same thing is applicable here. The A52 image is well exposed with much saturated colors, which a lot of people might prefer, but the Redmi image is cool with its natural looks, better dynamic range and balanced colors. If I am to choose one, I would definitely choose the Samsung image because it looks attractive and it pops. However, the Redmi image is the better one. This is an ultra-wide image from both phones and I have to give it to the A52. The A52 image is bright, well exposed and details are present. The ultra-wide image on the Redmi comes close a little bit, especially on how it handles dynamic range, but the A52 image looks better overall. Next is a 10 times zoom on both phones, and this is where you see the advantage of the 108 megapixel sensor on the Redmi. It is clear, vivid in colors and it packs more details than the A52 image. But the real question is, how many times will you be using this feature? Moving on to portrait images, both phones are great in this regard. Edge detection is good on both. I cannot say one is better than the other when it comes to separation between the subject and the background, but I feel like the Redmi image is slightly better when it comes to details and the A52 is better when it comes to exposure. Other than that, this is a tie. Moving on to selfie images, both performs very well, but here the Redmi is doing the opposite of what Samsung was doing with the real photos. The A52 image is a lot brighter and has more details than that of the Redmi. Dynamic range is also better on the Samsung image. On the Redmi image, contrast and saturation is a little too much and dynamic range is completely off, but I somehow love how it handles colors. Selfie portrait is really okay on both. The Redmi is consistent with its selfie colors while the A52 has brighter and balanced colors. Edge detection is really good on both, but the Samsung image takes the cake when it comes to shade details. I really appreciate what these two devices has to offer. It is really impressive. Moving on to night mode, this is where the Samsung phone really flexes its extra muscle. The A52 image is clear and obviously looks better, but the Redmi image has its own as well. I personally feel like the Redmi image could be better if it was able to let in more light. I still think the Redmi has a potential of getting better via a software update. I love how the Redmi handles those light flares. For a fact, if you manually add brightness, it could look better or very close to the A52 image, as you can see here. If you look at those light flares, it is all over the place on the A52 image, while it is better controlled with the Redmi. The Redmi really needs a software update to fix some of these. So when it comes to night images, the A52 is a clear winner. Hello guys, so this is a video from the front facing camera on both phones, the Redmi Note 10 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy A52. Okay, so the Redmi Note 10 Pro can only shoot in 1080p using the front camera, while the Samsung can go up to 4K at 30 frames per second. So which do you guys think looks better? Let me know in the comment section below. I think dynamic range is a little bit better on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. However, the Samsung Galaxy A52 image appears a little bit sharper. Alright, let me know what you think in the comment section below, okay? As you can see, both devices did excellently well, and I cannot say one is way better than the other outrightly. But what I can say is that the Samsung Galaxy A52 offers a complete camera experience than Redmi Note 10 Pro. Night mode is better with the A52, video stabilization is better with the A52, and above all, it can shoot 4K video with the front camera, which is something the Redmi cannot do. The Redmi offers good dynamic range and its images will please anyone as well. So in conclusion, you can never go wrong with any of these devices. They are both excellent in their respective ways. So that is it guys, my full camera comparison with two of the best mid-range smartphones available. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching and I'll talk to you in the next one.